This is the Dawg Days podcast. I'm your host, Dayne Young. It's a podcast where we chat with former Georgia Bulldogs about their eras in Athens, and it comes to you from UGAsports.com. If you're not a member at UGAsports.com, and you can sign up right now with the promo code 50UGA and get 50% off your first year membership. That's 50UGA. Our guest on this Dawg Days episode is Ryne Rankin, a fan favorite, a recruiting monster for UGA. He was a great linebacker and a special teams contributor, and he's got some wonderful stories, including, I think you're going to like this, you'll find it in here, hog hunting with Roquan Smith. Need I say more? It's Dawg Days with Ryne Rankin. All right, Ryne Rankin joining us here on the Dawg Days podcast. And Ryan, we like to start these by having the former Georgia players tell our fans what you're up to now.
I'm working just outside Athens. I'm at Northeast Georgia Livestock. I work under Todd Stevens there. Been there for about 2 years now, going on 2 years. We live out in Cotter. My wife just got done with veterinary school, and we just had a baby in March, so life's going pretty well.
It's a dad life, and you're out on the land a lot. How much do you miss kind of the daily grind of UGA football?
I miss the games. I miss the camaraderie, but I don't miss some Sunday practices. I'm out here in the hayfield right now, just driving that around. I got some time to get away and fill up some deer feeders for the upcoming season, and it's pretty hot right now, so I don't miss the practice.
You don't miss those mat drills, huh?
Oh, no.
All right, for people that don't know, we always hear about mat drills. Kind of describe to me what it is and then kind of the toll it takes on you.
It's hell. No, it's a good time. I mean, for people that don't know, I mean, it's basically you do everything as a team. You're synchronized, and if one person messes up, the whole team takes accountability for that one person messing up. And it's tough, man. Coach Rick used to get after it. I know people used to think Coach Rick was not talker, but behind the lines, he'd get in there.
In the same breath, you said it's hell, and then you said it's a good time. So I don't know how that works, but whatever that means.
It's hell. I mean, it's tough. I mean, everything sucks when you're doing mat drills. I mean, it's good to see people put like kids and teammates pushing through, and you just, I mean, like I said, talk about camaraderie earlier, and it just, you can believe in the person next to you. I mean, if you mess up, you hold them accountable, and they get better going along. So when you're getting up the upcoming season, and you're pushing through stuff, you know your brother next to you is going to be able to push through it and come out with you.
Well, to get to that point, you came from Florida. Tell me how you ended up from Florida coming up to UGA.
Coming out of Florida, I wanted to get out of Florida, actually. I mean, it's hot down there all the time. My parents just, instead of me to go out and see something new, better see something different, not being stay in Florida. Coming out, I had like 20-something offers, and I just came up to Athens and I fell in love with it. I mean, I was going to go to Penn State, and then they got bowl banned, and that kind of put a little limit on that. But I came up to Athens, fell in love with it. Coach Algadati was one recruiting me, Coach Rick, and Coach Tony Ball. I mean, Athens just felt like home. Walking around on campus, I could feel like it was at home, and I had the degrees I wanted to get here, which were agriculture business and agriculture economics.
How much did you know about UGA before stepping on campus?
Not much at all. Coming from Florida, the only thing I knew about them is the Florida Gators, and the Georgia game was a big deal because I followed Florida quite a bit since I lived down there.
So then what's your stance on the whole Jacksonville debate, whether the game should be still played in Jacksonville?
No, I think it should be a home and away series, and then the third year play it at Jacksonville.
So a 3-year rotation.
Yes, sir, because, I mean, it kind of sucks that people in Florida don't get to come up to Sanford. I mean, the great time to Sanford, and then people don't get to experience the swamp. I mean, going down there, it'd be cool to play in the swamp.
Do you have any funny recruiting stories or things, whether it be something that happened with coaches along your recruitment or some of your friends, of just funny things that happen or stories that you still remember and laugh at?
No, not really. I mean, recruiting life's pretty basic. I mean, I fell in love with Athens, came here and committed early. Not really. I mean, not my recruiting. I got to take Ethan out, which was pretty fun. Don't get into all that. That was pretty fun. I took Brendan Douglas out on his official, which was pretty fun. But besides that, nothing personally with me.
Well, and
I still laugh at.
You kind of gained that reputation of being just an elite recruiting host when you were a player at Georgia. How did that develop? Was it just something that happens over time, or was that something that you actively were interested in?
Not that I was actually interested in it, because coaches would call me up and say, "Hey, we got a kid coming in. Will you take him, have a good time?" And sure, I'll show him around. I mean, I guess I'm a people person, and everybody likes me, and I can get along with anybody, and I guess that's just part of it.
Because a piece of it, I'm thinking that, if you're more of a country guy and a lot of your interests are things, hunting and fishing and those kind of things, that, yeah, maybe it works out when Ben Cleveland needs to come through that you'd be a perfect guy for him. But if it's Jacob Eason, that's a whole different world, literally just the two different parts of the country. So I mean, how did it work out of who you hosted when?
I don't know. I mean, I know Alden Bynum, my really good buddy. He hosted Ben Cleveland, and then I was with Alden the whole night, and Ethan was there too. So I don't know if that was part of it or what, but I don't know. These coaches just think I can recruit good, I guess. I don't know. I'm surprised they ain't got the job yet.
Do coaches give you any kind of instruction on what to do or what to talk about?
Oh, no. I mean, you just go around telling them, show how it happens is, and talk to them, talk about the daily grind and what you expect when you come on campus.
Were there any recruits that you felt really good about after hosting that they ended up going somewhere else?
I don't think so. I mean, most of the people I hosted came to Georgia. I mean, I was part of Ben Cleveland came with Alden, Easton, Brendan Douglas. I took Nada out. I'm trying to think who else. I think I'm batting 100.
All right, so let's do a little role play here. If I'm a recruit in Athens on a visit, and I'm meeting you, and you're taking me around, you're showing me some of the stuff on campus, I'm sure we find our way to downtown. Just give me, kind of your elevator pitch of why I should come to Georgia.
I just tell them, look around. There ain't no other college like this. I mean, you can go around and try to find it, but there ain't nothing like Athens, downtown Athens, the University of Georgia, and Center Stadium on a Saturday. I mean, that's basically it.
When did it first hook you? I mean, did it take one visit and that was it?
Yeah, I actually came up here my junior year of high school. Me and my dad loaded up the car. Instead of going on spring break, we just loaded up the car and we traveled. We hit schools all the way up to Penn State and came back down and hit schools. And when I just came in to Athens, I walked around and Coach Ball showed me around, and Michael Erdman was playing then. He showed me around campus and just everything, and I fell in love with it, man. I mean, there ain't nothing like it.
So the first time that you step into the stadium, you're wearing the uniform. Tell me what that experience was like, your first time being a Georgia Bulldog in Sanford Stadium with the crowd and everyone else there.
Well, the shocking thing was, that's not what got me. The first game was when we played Clemson at Clemson, and that place was rocking. And I was like, I came out of the tunnel, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm here, and this is real. And so I don't know how many fans they got. It was packed, and they were screaming and stuff like that. You couldn't even hear yourself think. That was exciting. First time I was in Stanford was exciting, too. But I just remember my first college game experience was coming out against Clemson, and it was nuts.
It's butterflies, right? I mean, because you work so hard to get to that point.
Yeah. I mean, you sit your stomach, you want to throw up, but you're so excited, and you're just ready to smack something.
Do you have
out of the way.
Do you have a favorite game from your era at Georgia?
I mean, there's a bunch of games that was good. I'm trying to think.
Well, your freshman year, you had 2013 LSU, and that's really regarded pretty highly.
That was a really good game. Yeah, that was a really big game. I like freshman year against Auburn until that 6 happened.
Yeah.
That was going to be the big one. Wanted to get a comeback from history.
What was the sideline like for that? So that's the prayer of Jordan Hare when Auburn is on their way to eventually appearing in the national championship 2 weeks before the kick six against Alabama. What's that sideline like? Because there's so many connections with Georgia and Auburn. A lot of you guys know each other. They had what was in the process of being a magical year. It was a tough year for Georgia, especially injury-wise, but still competing in that moment. What's that sideline like when that ball gets tipped and caught and ran in for a touchdown?
Man, it was nuts. Yeah, I was like flabbergasted. People were like, coaches were just falling on their knees. just believe it, because we worked hard on that, and it's just something so quick. It just changed the game so quick. That's what I love about football, man. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, you can bust your butt and come back, and all of a sudden something so simple, it can just change the game. Momentum can change so quick and swiftly.
It can just be a gut punch sometimes. What about the other side of the emotional spectrum? Like, do you remember a most excited time or a most excited game?
Oh, as a player, as a team, I'm probably my most pumped up, exciting time was making the opening tackle against Georgia Tech my freshman year. But as a team, probably beating Auburn my senior year. That was big for us.
Did you know during your senior year, because that was 2016, did you know that the team the following year was going to be special?
No, and I wish my coaches would have redshirted me. I wish that every day. Yeah, because, heck, I didn't even win the East one time I was there. We didn't even win the East. It was always some team had to beat some team, or this had to happen, and this had to happen for us to win it. I mean, because we played so good, and we could lose to some other team, and it just knocked us out. But, heck, yeah, man, I wish I redshirted or coaches would have redshirted me or something, because I talked to Alden, Bynum, and Bryce Ramsey and Trent Fricks all the time, and they stayed for the next year. And and they always bug me about getting the rings.
Well, a lot of people point out when you had Davin Bellamy and Lorenzo Carter, and then Chubb and Michelle come back for their senior seasons. That kind of momentum can definitely build. What was, at that point, half the team, more than half the team, because you played with them, but you're watching as a fan. So what's that experience like where you're connected to it, but in a way you're as disconnected to it as you've been in 4 years?
Yeah, it was crazy. The first game I came back was against, I believe, App State. That's when Ethan got hurt and Strong came in, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That was again. And I was sitting in the stands, and I was so pumped up, ready to go, but you can't go, you know what I'm saying? Like, kickoff is fixing to happen. I'm usually down there freaking trying to get everybody jumped up, excited, and knocking heads and pumped up. But I'm sitting in the stands, my wife's like telling me to calm down because I just want to hop on the field and go. It's crazy. It's nuts. Just how much I know our coaches are always talking about enjoy your time here. I mean, it goes by fast. 4 years goes by fast. I mean, before you blink, you'll be senior, and then you'll be done. And that's true. And I'm also happy for them boys in 2017. I was really proud of them.
What's it like to be, a lot of your work was on special teams. What is it like to be running down the field just looking for somebody to lay out?
You got to have that nut squad mentality like Coach Eckler always told me. I mean, you got to be one or have a lot of them. I mean, you just got to be a kamikaze and go down there willing to know you could get knocked out or you could knock somebody else out. So you just got to, I guess, send it.
What was the hardest hit that you delivered?
I don't know. I mean, there's been a couple of good ones. I know the hardest hit I've ever got delivered by.
Who?
Dustin Garrett played at Auburn my sophomore year. We're playing. He actually broke two kids' wrists that game. One was Michael Irvin's, one was mine. But I remember me and him hit. We both got knocked out. And I stood up, fell back down. He stood up, fell back down. He went out with a concussion that next week. I woke up Tuesday morning with a dang. I finished that game, but then Tuesday morning I had to get wrist surgery. I'll never forget that hit, and I always talk to him about it on Instagram and stuff like that. We always talk about it.
There is a camaraderie with a lot of you former SEC guys, and even a couple of years ago, I tweeted out some footage I had of Todd Gurley when he came back in 2014, I believe it was, against Auburn, and had the kick return, and the stadium goes nuts, and then you get the holding call. What happened?
Because everybody gets always taught to get your arms in, and I had him right there. I mean, I don't know. I guess the kid tried to turn away. I might have a little bit of jersey got stuck in my fingers. I don't know. So that was something. I got freaking tackled from behind, face mask, everything. And I don't think I've ever got a penalty played on somebody else that's done that to me. And that BS call, man, I was so mad.
What did you say to Todd afterwards?
Man, I said, man, I'm sorry. I mean, I still say it to him every time somebody puts it on Twitter. I always tag him in it, and I say, man, that's my bad.
Well, I mean, the stadium, people always talk about loud moments in the stadium. That was one of the craziest that I remember just because it was so hyped with his return. And you could kind of see it on the field, too. You guys were jacked up for that moment.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see it on the field that fall was terrible. I mean, terrible. Oh, man. No. We had to back off the game because we had that happen, and then we had that fake punt. We threw it, I don't know who we threw it to. Threw it to somebody for a touchdown, fake punt. And they called that back. They told Kawano was a legal man downfield, which he wasn't. He was a person protector back then, so I don't understand that was a big deal. We got 2 bad calls that game.
You guys can always remember a lot of the bad calls and some of the things that go wrong. It seems like you have a harder time remembering some of the positive stuff. I wonder if there's something in the psychology of sports that kind of leads to that.
Yeah, cause, I mean, it's like, the good stuff is supposed to be good. I mean, you're supposed to do that. Remember that. Dwell on that. You dwell on the bad plays, which you're not supposed to, but you dwell on the bad plays and you try to look to get better. That's what it is. I mean, you're obviously just supposed to act this way and do this thing, so that's supposed to happen, so you don't really look into that as much.
Do you have any good Todd Gurley stories? Because, I mean, I've had so many guys that from your era just say this guy was a freak and we all knew that he was that good.
Just the stuff he would do at practice. I mean, he'd come out there and say, he'd be not going through the motions, but you can tell he was slowing down. But when we did like team run and stuff like that, he would turn it on and nobody could touch him. And you would just sit back and with your jaw drop and be like, oh, my God, this boy's good. He's going to do something. He was a freaking nature, and he was a funny dude, too.
Arthur Lynch was saying that that backfield that had all the injuries, when you're talking Michelle, Chubb, Keith Marshall, and Todd Gurley, and then Brendan Douglas, who you were talking about earlier, that offense as a whole could have gone down as one of the best offenses. Not only he said Georgia history, but I would even say SEC history. Did you ever look around in practice and just be like, man, that's a lot of talent over there?
Yeah, I mean, we had a bunch. I mean, you just sit there and look at a stable of backs back there. I mean, heck, you had that. And then you still had J.J. Green. I mean, J.J. Green and Brendan Douglas, before Keith got hurt in the Tennessee game, they carried us too. I mean, we had some ballers for sure.
Taking a quick break to say thank you for supporting the Dawg Days podcast. By you listening, rating, subscribing, reviewing, all the things you're doing to support the Dawg Days podcast, we're reaching a listener base that's a couple of thousand each episode. So it's each week that we're reaching a great many number of Georgia and SEC football fans. And that also means that this space is available for sponsorship. If that's something that you're interested in, to get your company's name out there to our fan base at UGAsports.com, email Roddy at UGAsports.com. That's RADI at UGAsports.com, and let him know that you want to sponsor the Dawg Days podcast with Dayne. Do you have a favorite practice story, something that still makes you laugh, or just something that you and your guys cut up about? I've heard there's some good stuff in the locker room, but I haven't gotten people to tell me about it yet.
Yeah, that locker room sacred. We don't talk about the stuff in the locker room. What happens in there stays in there, but there's some funny stuff that goes on in there. Some good times. I'm trying to think of practice. I don't remember too much about practice. I mean, we just try to get in and get out, like do your job and get done. And then all those shenanigans, funny stuff happens in the locker room.
I'm going to have to find someone that'll crack the code on the locker room, and it's going to be difficult because
it ain't going to be free.
Yeah, you're not going to be the one getting texts from guys after this publishes.
Not going to be me.
Well, I will keep trying, and I think I'll keep getting the same answer, and it might be better that way. But I know that there are stories from the locker room, and eventually there's going to be some that come out.
Yeah, that's true.
I've heard some team meeting stories, too, and I don't know which of those are true. So I'll have to maybe off air try to check with you and see if some of those are right.
Some team what?
Some team meeting stories from the meeting rooms with the coaches.
Yeah. There's some good team meeting stories, too.
Are those off limits as well? Do those stay between you guys?
I don't know. The ones they already say about team meeting stories, we used to do like skit night or skits during fall camp. We'd all make all the freshmen do skits, and they would always have to do some kind of skit, and we'd get to vote on it. And that was fun. I remember that.
Now you got to describe one to me. Tell me who it was or what they did.
I ain't describing nothing. I mean, you just get players acting like coaches and portraying to be like coaches, and the stuff they would say. It'd be a good time.
Who was a good actor? Was there a guy that was really good with impressions?
Ben Fowler probably the best one. He was a walk-on special teams boy, and he did like all the coaches in one year. and we didn't really know Ben. It was just like because it was either like your first year. So if you were a freshman coming in, or you transferred in, or let's say you a walk on or something like that, you had to do it. Hard to say. Like he did it, and he was the best one. He was funny. And I'm trying to think who else was. King Samichi, he was funny.
He was a transfer in, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I want to go back to a bit of your role on the team because it's definitely not one that I would say is glamorous. It's not a star quarterback. It's not a running back, receiver. You're doing a lot of the dirty work, not only on the field on Saturdays, but in practice. Did that take a mindset for you to kind of get into that or get comfortable with that role? Because it's something that every team has to have, and you were that for Georgia.
Yeah, I came in as a linebacker. I thought I would play more at backer when Coach Doc came in. He had us, and I played a little bit my freshman year. I guess when everybody has their different schemes and fits with different players. So special teams my way out of that, actually getting on the field. I mean, I could sit back and multiply or transfer or do something like that, or I can make something with the cards I was dealt with, and I felt like I did that pretty well. I just felt like I could do something with this. I can get on the field with this, and I'm also just try to lead by example and take advantage of what I'm saying to get on the field and take advantage of the opportunity and get the playing time and actually do something myself with doing it.
Well, and I think you did that successfully because you gained a lot of the adoration from your coaches and teammates. When it comes to like your role as a recruiter, I know you said coaches would just say, that they would come in and say, "Hey, we got this guy. Can you show them around?" Is that something that you got comfortable with that reputation, or was it just something that because you're a people person, you kind of naturally fit into?
Yeah, both, I guess. I mean, I felt natural knowing people, and also, it felt good that coaches rely on me to help them out in recruiting and also on the field, with special teams.
So where all would you take recruits?
Oh, I don't know. We go to the library. I'm just joking. We have a good time. I don't know. Hang out at my house or go around. Go out. I know we go out and get about to eat and we'll show them around town.
What's your go-to Athens meal?
Personally?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't know, man. Right now, I like that little barbecue restaurant on the backside of downtown, that Dawg Barbecue. He's pretty good. I like food, but I ain't into the fancy last resort and stuff like that, or not throwing shops out there. Mama's boy, I just can't afford all that all the time, so I'm not going to be the one to be going there all the time. I can go to the barbecue, get me a $3 plate, and sit there and crush and be full for my food, and not have to eat a salad with 3 croutons and pay $74.
That I can relate with. So, yes, I understand you there. Recently on Twitter, I saw you have Roquan Smith out for a hog hunt, and I want as many details as you're willing to offer here. Now, I know Roquan is from Montezuma, so he may have a little bit of experience. And
all right.
So I want to know as much as you'll tell me about you and Roquan hog hunting.
Oh, Roquan's my good buddy. He actually flew in from Nike out in Oregon just to go hunting with us. So he flew in because I had to go to Dallas. But he flew in, me and my buddies, my buddy Adam Blaylock and Carter Schultz, which my good buddies live around here. Actually, Carter Schultz, which is defensive back in Morgan County High School, which ain't too far away. He's a good football fella. But anyway, so we pick up Roquan down in, I don't know, one of them hotels, or not hotels, one of them apartments downtown. So we actually picked him up there. He walked out. We got the dogs in the back. He were driving by looking at us like we're some hicks because we got probably 10, 15 dogs in the back of my truck. And Roquan hopped in the truck. We head out towards Everett County. Actually, we went to Bowman. We hunted in Bowman where McColl's from. And we was on the way there, and Roquan's like, "Man, it stinks out here." I said, "Boy, that smells like money." He's like, "What are you talking about?" We're talking about chicken houses, and people don't understand. That stuff stinks. But, hey, that's money in people's farmers' hands. And we just cracking on that. He's a good country boy, so we get him out. We turn the dogs loose. We catch like a little 60, 70-pounder. Roquan gets in there and stabs it. We get the dogs off. And they're like, we're going to another place. I'm like, man, I hope we get on one. We turn the dogs out. The bay dogs find one, bang one up. and we could tell it's going to be a good one because you can hear the hog in there throwing the dogs around. The dogs is squealing or yelping and stuff. We're like, man, this is going to be a good one. So we get in there, we're rushing in there, we're pushing corn stalks away. We're in big cornfields. Roquan's hiding behind me, and we finally get there. And this is my buddy Jeremy Jones's place. I mean, we grab the hog's leg, flip it over. Roquan goes in there and stabs him. He was surprised because we had to get the dogs back off the pig, and he was holding one of the bulldogs, and he pulled him onto the ground. And he's like, man, these dogs are tough. And I said, yeah, he got a little dose of reality in how hunting goes with me, or hog hunting is. How real hog hunting is, not with a gun.
Man, you're going to have the Chicago Bears on you a little bit if Roquan ever gets nicked up hog hunting with you.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was worried about because when we first got in there, Roquan went in there. I got the hog flipped. The dogs are still biting the hog. We're trying to get the dogs off. He's reaching down there trying to grab the dog. I'm like, Roquan, just back up, man, because if you get bit right now by a dog, I'm going to have Chicago Bears fans driving to my house and trying to kill me. I said, man, just back up. We'll give you the dog. Just hold up.
I'm kind of surprised he had to have a knife, really, because Roquan's so powerful himself. I'm surprised he just couldn't wrestle the hog and that be that.
Oh, yeah. We'll flip him over. But, it's nice to take it out of his misery. They do horrible damage, millions and millions of dollars of damage. It was a good time. He enjoyed it.
Well, as a trained hog hunter, someone that's done it for a long time, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Roquan Smith's hog hunting skills?
Hog hunting skills, speed and agility and stabness. And I'm going to give him a 9.5.
That's really, I think everything he does is a 9.5 from what I can tell.
It was pretty good. He was out there with Ganus and his Chicago Bears shirt on and some old Nikes he had on. He's ready to go.
Watch out, NFL quarterbacks. Roquan has successfully completed his off-season training.
Yeah, he's ready for a runner.
What other players have you had out there? I mean, I know a lot of your buddies go hunting, and I even saw you comment on the Ben Cleveland story from SEC Media Days. I think Andrew Thomas told it, where Ben Cleveland walks around with the same knife, using it for virtually everything.
Yeah. I haven't got Big Ben Bud out there on the hog hunt with the dogs lately, but I've been hunting with them. Me, Fromm, Charlie Warner, Kevin Hayes, we go duck hunting quite a lot. Stuff like that, deer hunting, duck hunting. Fromm came over probably a month ago trying to shoot coyote with a buddy Jordan Rope. So, yes, sir. I mean, I stay in touch with them. We get out of the woods as much as we can, fishing, hunting, whatever we can. But I haven't got Big Ben out there with the dogs yet. But he's been out there with a gun.
Can you outfish Fromm? Because, I mean, it seems like that's what he does when he's not playing football.
I don't know. I mean, I could probably put him test and money. Me and my dad just went the other day. We caught some good ones. I put up my Instagram. We caught some decent ones.
Well, if you find yourself fishing with Fromm, make sure that we don't have another lure story like we did last summer.
Oh, my God. He went to the hospital for that, man. And, me and Big Ben, we just cut it out in the skin. I mean, he went all the way to the hospital for that. I mean, you have to take the shot. You ain't going to get nothing else. That little lure.
So you guys were picking on him about that then. I hear
it.
Oh,
yeah, man. That little lure, what is that? We get briars stuck in our arm bigger than that thing.
Well, maybe he was just being, very cautious and delicate as a quarterback.
That's that quarterback in him coming out. That's for sure.
Just overall, I'd love to kind of get your impression of the current team. I know you know a lot of the guys on there, and you know kind of what Kirby Smart's been doing with the program. Just as far as their potential for this year and kind of what you see from Georgia coming up.
I mean, I got high hopes for them. I stay in touch with Coach Schumann a lot still, and Coach Sinclair. And Coach, I always talk to Coach about the players and how they're doing and stuff like that. I'm just excited to see what they're going to do this year. Each year they've been progressing, and just get over that hump and beat Alabama. But man, you can't worry about that. You got to worry about day in and day out. And I'm just ready to see what they can do this year.
You mentioned Alabama. One of the many games that Georgia has struggled against them was that 2015 year. So you're there in the rain, and Georgia was actually favored in that game.
I know. We were so hyped up for that game.
What happened?
Heck, I don't know, man. You can't open the drive up and whatever we did, and then heck, I think didn't we have a safety or something the first drive, like a muff punt or punt dot block or something like that? It was downhill quick. You can't come out and make plays like that. You got to execute everything. And I remember that game, man. It was cold, rainy, miserable, and we had high expectation. Everybody was pumped up, and all of a sudden that went downhill real quick.
Well, and once Alabama got a lead, it was essentially they ran Derrick Henry straight up the middle for the rest of the game. And like with the field conditions like they were, it's just really hard to score like that. And so it was like you said, it went downhill really fast. Eventually Georgia will get over the hump against Alabama, and I know that's the phrase that everyone likes to say. But having been a part of that, is there anything different? I know not game plan wise necessarily, but even mindset wise when Alabama's on the other side.
No, I mean, as a player, for me, no. I mean, they put a pants leg on just like I do, one leg at a time. I mean, maybe some kids, I don't know. You just can't be scared of who they are just because they got that thing on the side of their helmet or whatever they got on the side of their helmet. Just because they're Alabama, you can't be scared of them. I mean, heck, play Auburn, play all these other big teams. You just got to take it as one team at a time. I mean, it's the same person as you know?
Do I have this right that you proposed to your girlfriend in Sanford Stadium?
Yeah, on the bridge to Sanford Stadium.
Okay.
I wasn't good enough like Jake to get in the field. I'm just kidding. I just didn't have the time and family just to execute it. So we got to do it quick on a Sunday. Yeah,
Jake Ganus did it on the field. That was after a game, right?
Yeah, that was after South Carolina. I remember him sitting in my. I can tell you this, Piper. We getting ready to play South Carolina. He's like, man, if we win, I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend. I was like, man, that's awesome. He's in the damn room, He's in the dang room with me, and I'm being the girl, and he's going through the stuff he's gonna say to me. We were rooming together. I was like, bro, what am I doing right now?
Well, so you were going through the game plan with him. It was almost like another recruiting visit where you're here.
Yeah. We had to figure out what he's gonna say, how he's gonna do it. He was practicing.
How nervous was he?
Oh, he was pretty nervous, man. You could tell he was babbling in the room. He's like, man, I got it, or I got to say this, or he practiced and had to redo it. But you could tell he was nervous, but hey, it worked out for him.
Wait, if Georgia would not have won that game, would he not have proposed that night?
Yeah, we had to back it up, so we probably won the home game or something.
Well, thankfully Georgia won, and he got engaged, and all is well from there. Were you nervous for your engagement?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was shaking. I was halfway stuttering. I could barely talk right now. I usually stutter when I talk and babble on about things, but yeah, I was pretty nervous, to say the least.
More nervous for your engagement or that first game at Clemson?
Probably the engagement.
Why?
I was about to ask somebody to be my wife for the rest of my life, and I was just so excited. And I guess it was kind of both the same, but just a different butterfly feeling. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that. But I was excited. It was good.
Do you have any funny stories from the sideline of a game or why things are going on? Because, when you're watching on TV or even from the stands, it always appears like everything is so serious and professional. But I've been behind some of these sidelines. You guys cut up during the game a lot.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, you try not to. You try to keep your head focused in the game or what's going on. It usually happens more when you're winning and not so much when you're losing. But I don't know if I got any stories. It's just more of what's going on right now. I mean, or what fans are saying to you. You can just laugh at that, stuff like that. I mean,
and some of these places, you can hear the fans pretty well. They're closer in some places than others. Some are right on top of you. I mean, Sanford, you got that little walkway, so they're not as bad because you're pretty far away. But I think Vandy, they're right on top of you. Tennessee, they're on top of you. I'm trying to think what else. Their school pretty close, but yeah, sometimes. Georgia's recruiting has definitely increased in its success here in the last couple of years. Do you take any credit from that? I mean, do you look at it and say you were kind of on the front end of that?
Oh, I don't know about all that. But it's sure nice to have a new locker room. And I remember my freshman year, in our locker rooms, we didn't have no carpet on the ground. And heck, we didn't have no lockers or carpet in it. When Kirby came in, we actually had these little makeshift lockers, and we actually had like pictures on the wall and stuff like that. But when we was there with Rick, there was no carpet or anything on the ground. It was pretty like hard, I don't know, like rubber or fake tile or whatever it is, or laminate. But there was the only carpet in that room was that G in the middle of the locker room. And boy, if you know, everybody wears your knee pads. So everybody wears knee pads anymore. They were called thigh pads now, I guess, because your knees are always showing. But if you had your knee on that concrete, whatever, it would hurt your knee before you went on that game. So everybody always fought to get to that G and put their knee on the ground on that carpet.
So when you walk in the new locker room, the one that's underneath the scoreboard now, I mean, do you just look at it and be like, man, how could we not have had this when I was here?
No doubt. I want to go in there. I ain't been in it yet.
You haven't been in it?
No, I ain't been. I've seen pictures and stuff like that, but I ain't been in it. I mean, I've seen the updated team room at the Bucks there, but I haven't been in the new locker room at the stadium.
Yeah, the new. I did a tour of it with some of the season ticket holders. I guess this was back in the spring, just before G Day. And one of the cool things that they do, and I think they do this at a few other schools as well, is that some of the notable players from the past, they still have their names on lockers. So like Matthew Stafford or AJ Green, and they do a piece of that. I think for when guys like you are taking recruits around, you can kind of point it out and say, hey, you know, once you're here forever, and it kind of reminds of some of the legacy that's in there.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
And they've got another piece of it too, because you know it's a decent sized facility there in that locker room. They have a piece of it where you can kind of see the earnings of the guys in the NFL now.
That's cool.
Yeah, like when Roquan Smith, your buddy, when his signing bonus scrolls across this ticker, it almost looks like a Dow Jones ticker. You know, it shows how much money that he made and that Georgia helped him get. I don't know if the hog hunting industry is that, you know, illustrious in pay, but I assume it isn't.
No, not at all.
Where was your favorite road game? Where was your favorite place to play?
I like playing at Tech, and I like playing at Jacksonville School. I mean, I like playing at the big rivalry schools, Auburn. I mean, heck, when we played South Carolina in 2014, we went out and then came back in. So rain delays went out, went back in. And that was a cool place to play when they played the Sandstorm and get going.
They're crazy. Like when they're hype, when they had Jadeveon Clowney and Marcus Lattimore, that place gets, you know, it's one of the louder places. But some of us because they have that chicken crowing over the scoreboard the whole time.
Oh yeah, that thing gets annoying.
Yeah, I'm sure. Either that or Rocky Top has to be the most annoying thing in the SEC. I don't know which is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a country boy, so I can deal with the country music, the Rocky Top. They used to play that. They used to play that stuff at practice all the time when we played Tennessee. They bring in big old speakers, man, and they pump that music. They always pump crowd noise, or whatever during game week. On like Thursdays, they pump crowd noise. And when we played Tennessee, man, they played Rock Top for hours and hours that week, and hours.
I mean, was that just so you would be sick of it by the time Saturday came?
Yes.
And were you?
Yes.
When the coaching change happened and Kirby Smart comes in, you know, that's leading into your senior year at that point.
Yes, sir.
What did that do for you energy-wise? I mean, you've got one more year, and it's going to be, you know, a transitional year. Were you nervous about it? Was it something you were excited about?
Well, actually, I guess you could say used to. I mean, since I've been there, I had 2 head coaches, 3 defensive coordinators, 3 linebackers coaches. Heck, I'm just strength staff there. 3 different strength staffs. I mean, you're used to change, man. That's college football. I mean, you don't go to school just for the coaches anymore. You got to go to school for you think you can excel at, graduate at, and get a good degree to move on from there. I mean, because just being honest, I mean, they ain't going to be there 1 to 2 years as much as you're going to get out of an assistant coach at least.
Is that one thing that you would tell recruits? Is that, hey, come here?
I would tell them. I said, man, if you come to Georgia, you need to find a school. I said, take your visits, man. Georgia's awesome. See what Georgia has to offer you and stuff like that. But I'm saying you got to find a school that fits you as a person, that you can see yourself being here for 4 to 5 years, seeing yourself growing, becoming into a mature man, getting a degree, finding a wife. You got to find that because football ain't last forever. I mean, I know it's pretty cliche. Everybody says that, but it's true. And I said, man, you come here, 2 years later, your coaches are going to be gone.
So when
They're
you're
gonna be gone. I mean, that's just how it is.
when you're finding yourself on a recruiting visit with Jacob Eason, were you surprised that a guy from the state of Washington was interested in coming to Georgia?
Yeah, I think he just liked the Southern lifestyle down here and just saw these girls walking around in these sundresses and just a different type of football down here. It's hot. It ain't raining all the time like it was in Seattle. I mean, sun comes out. You got different seasons. I mean, it was just a different as compared to what it was up there.
You know, the girls in the sundresses, that's something that I hear a lot of people mention, that there's just something about Athens that attracts some guys here.
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, that's SEC football, man.
And it worked for you. I mean, you found your wife here, right?
Yeah, well, she was actually a cheerleader, so I was peeking into that skirt, or peeking at that skirt on the sideline.
So you were distracted in some of your game days.
Yeah, I was trying to make a tackle. If I got down where like the 20, 15-yard line, she'd be on that sideline, so I just tried to make my tackles over there. So she was singing.
I mean, did you ever really look for her when you were making a tackle down there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get up and you could see them. I mean, heck, they ran out in front of us when we ran out through the tunnel. I mean, they'd be right there. I mean, you'd see them.
You're going to have one of those Ocho Cinco situations where you get down on one knee, like, during the game.
I wish you played that good, though, because the national championship or something like that year, I would have done it.
There was a story. I think it was the famous Boise State Oklahoma game years and years ago. Their running back did that after the game, so that could have been you.
Yeah, that could have been. But,
so you're saying that if it had been 2017 and you had not yet proposed, you would have done it in Pasadena?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What could have been? That could have added to the story.
That's all good.
It sounds like
trading in the world right now.
Yeah.
I got my wife, my kids, and we're living life in Calvert, Georgia, in our double wide trailer. We're living good.
Yeah, it sounds like it all worked out for the best, but that could have been one for the storybooks too. You can tell her that tonight is hey, if I wouldn't have proposed to you by that point, had 2017 been there, Pasadena would have been fun for us.
That's right.
Do you have a message for either former players or current players? You know, you have such a good rapport or standing with a lot of your fellow former teammates, or it sounds like you're still friends with a lot of guys out there. Do you have anything? Because we do have a lot of the former players that listen to this, and definitely a lot of fans. Do you have anything that you want to say to them, or just about kind of the reputation you've built as just being, quite honest, a damn good Georgia Bulldog?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can just say I miss my buddies, man. I need to catch up again. Even because once you get away from college, you really don't see anybody unless somebody's getting married or like a job fair or something like that. So it'd be cool to catch up with them, say what's up, and mingle around with them. And to these young bucks that are playing right now, just keep pushing, man. Keep grinding. If stuff ain't working your way, just find a way to buy in, and it'll all work out in the best for you.
Well, it sounds like if your guys are going to find you, they're going to have to come to the woods or to the lake or something.
That's right.
What's your favorite kind of hunting to do?
Probably hog hunting with the dogs. I mean, I like deer hunting, duck hunting, stuff like that. But it's cool to get a dog and train it up and see it grow and love on you, but also will hunt his butt off for you and work his tail off in the woods and find you a hog. And I mean, it's just enjoyable to see them both. I guess it's almost like coaching football. You get a young kid and get him out there on the practice field and practice with him, like when the game time comes, and that's what he's supposed to do, and just everything works out. I mean, I guess you can portray it to be the same as that.
Well, and I was going to ask kind of something similar to that was, are there similarities to hunting or fishing? Maybe it's, mentality that actually helped you in football at all?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, determination, keeping an eye on the prize. Just knowing you go out and go hunting. Every day's not going to be the best. You're not going to always get it, but there's going to be the days that you do get it, and it's going to be rewarding. And then the reward always pays off in the end.
How old does your daughter have to get for you to get her out hunting with you?
Heck, I don't know. They have a youth season for children. That's like a couple of weeks before deer season starts, so she might have a good youth season this year. I might get her out there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble with the wife because of what you said on here now.
I actually took her out the other night. My wife went down to Jacksonville for a bachelorette party, and I had to watch the baby. And I dressed her up, and I put her in the car seat, and I went down on let my buddies hunt a spot out in Rail, Georgia. I was only out there for like 30 minutes, then I came home.
So but you got to get her started young, right?
Yeah, you got to get her started. You got to get her started somehow.
Well, man, this has been a blast. And are you recruiting still? Like when you see younger players or anyone that goes through that process, do you still tell them, about Athens and Georgia and the things that you like about it?
I mean, if they hit me up on Twitter or something, I would, or I'll tweet at them and say, man, there ain't nothing like Athens, something like that. But I can only do so much, Now it's passed on to somebody else who's above me. I'm just a washed up old head now.
How crazy is that recruiting game, though? I mean, it seems like it's a little more intensive every year. It requires a bigger staff.
It's ridiculous, man. I don't know how coaches do it. To go out and coach and grind and bust your butt to coach the kids that are already here, and then in your free time, you're driving around to these other schools, high schools, and flying around and kissing these 15, 16, 17-year-olds butts around. I mean, I don't know how they do it, man. I mean, it's impressive, and it just always seems to get blown up each year. And I don't know. I wonder if they'll ever go back to just signing with one school and staying with it and not having too much hype. But now, man, all these videos and people picking all these different hats, and they got freaking 4 or 5 minute long trailer videos of where they're going to school. It's nuts.
Yeah, when I see a recruit come out and say I have a top 24 schools, I'm thinking, well, then you don't have a top anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I think what
happened to kids is picking a hat and picking the school. I mean, now there's one person jumping out of an airplane with somebody, I think a couple years ago, and stuff like that. It's nuts.
I think what fans are going to learn from this, or the Roquan Smith Hog story, I think that they're not going to be surprised, but the details are going to be good. But the thing that I didn't know that Penn State was so high on your list that had they been eligible, you might not have never been a Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome, man. I fell in love with it when I went up there. I mean, I fell in love with Athens when I went up there. It was just, it was just linebacker you, man. That's what they sold you. The stadium was huge, and then they had an on-campus gun safe, which was cool. I mean, you could take there and you put your guns in there. I don't know why Georgia doesn't do this. There's so much hunting around Penn State. You can check your guns in almost like a library, I guess, and check them in, and then they hold them for you. And if you ever want to check them out, you can check them out and use them. That was pretty neat.
Well, there's an idea for the recruiting staff right now.
There you go. But I had some family that lived in like Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and Washington, Pennsylvania. So I had some family up there too. But man, that's a far trip for my family that was in Orlando at the time. That'd be a far trip for them. But they got bowl band, and that kind of shied me away from them, and I just fell in love with Georgia.
And it's cold up there. There's that too.
Yeah, it's pretty nippy up there. That's for sure.
Well, Ryan, I really can't thank you enough for your time, man. I enjoyed this conversation, and we did this on a bit of short notice on the front end. So thanks for making that happen for us, and I think our fans are really going to love hearing from you. And, man, if you ever want to do it again, hit me up. We'll make it happen.
Yes, sir. Just holler at me. I'll be out here.
Big thanks to Ryne Rankin for joining us here on the Dawg Days podcast. You can see why he was such a good recruiting host. He can connect with people and share great stories and passion. That's the kind of thing we like here on the Dawg Days podcast. If you're a former player and you'd like this space to kind of tell some of those stories that still make you and your buddies laugh, hit me up on Twitter at Dayne Young, DayneYoung, and would love to get your perspective, not only what you think about the current Bulldogs, but especially about your era in Athens. For all the fans out there, thanks for supporting this podcast. Continue to rate, subscribe, review, listen, share, all the good things that you can do to spread these stories to your Georgia Bulldogs fans, and we'll continue to pump them out. Looking forward to the next one here on the Dawg Days podcast.